The Forgotten Room. Ethan had just inherited the house from his great-uncle, an old, crumbling Victorian manor on the outskirts of a small town. No one had lived there for years, and the townspeople whispered about the unlucky family that owned it. Ethan, never one to believe in ghost stories, was excited to explore the place. He planned to renovate it and move in. The house was exactly what you'd expect from a gothic horror novel. Creaky floorboards, dusty chandeliers, and long, narrow hallways that seemed to stretch on forever. But what caught his attention on the first day was something odd, a locked door at the end of one hallway. It was a small door, barely noticeable, and looked much older than the rest of the house. There was no key in sight. Ethan asked around town, but no one knew about the door. One older man with a shaky voice warned him, "Some doors are meant to stay closed, lad." But Ethan's curiosity got the better of him. He bought some tools and pried the door open. The smell hit him first, musty, like something had been sealed inside for decades. Inside, the room was tiny, no bigger than a closet. The walls were lined with old yellowed wallpaper, and in the center of the room was a small wooden chair. It faced a mirror, cracked down the middle, covered in dust. As Ethan stepped inside, the air grew cold. He shivered, but it wasn't just the temperature. Something felt wrong. He stared at the mirror, wiping away the grime to see his reflection. But when the dust cleared, he froze. His reflection wasn't moving. It stood still, staring back at him with wide, unblinking eyes. His heart pounded as he slowly stepped back, but his reflection stayed still, grinning now, a twisted, unnatural grin. The lights flickered, and when they came back on, the room was different. The chair was facing him now, the mirror gone, and the reflection, no, the figure, was sitting in the chair, watching him, its grin stretching wider and wider. Panicked, Ethan bolted from the room, slamming the door shut behind him. His heart was racing, his skin cold with fear. But then he heard it, a faint knock from behind the door. Knock, knock, knock. He backed away, breath shallow, trying to make sense of what he'd just seen. That night he tried to sleep, telling himself it was all in his head, just a trick of the mind. But the knocking continued. Every night the same slow, deliberate knocks. And then it got worse. Ethan started waking up in different parts of the house, confused and disoriented. He'd find himself standing at the end of the hallway, staring at the locked door. One morning, he woke up with dirt under his nails, as if he'd been digging, though he couldn't remember doing anything. The final straw came when he woke up standing inside the forgotten room, the door shut behind him. The figure was there, grinning wider than ever, its eyes dark and hollow. Ethan screamed, but no sound came out.